Welcome to Brevard News, your trusted news source for real news in Brevard County. Got a question for you. Why has there been 2 straight weeks of protests at Titusville City Hall? We'll find out because we have a special guest with us. We have Stel Bailey, who is the publisher of The Advocate's Voice and also the founder of Fight for Zero. Welcome, Stel. And also our special guest, who's always with us. And we have Katie Delaney, who is running for County Commission Seat 1. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you.
We've got some real problems in Titusville, and it's really kind of sad to see as you see it unfold. There are just a lot of issues going on in Titusville. I've said before Titusville is corrupt. I think that that's probably putting it mild.
Definitely.
Tell me where I'm wrong, Stel.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying that there's layers of issues with this situation. It's transparency is an issue. There's water quality issues. There's trust issues. And so you've got people from different areas of the city that are coming together and having these conversations about the issues that are occurring in the city of Titusville and how they do not feel like they're being represented in their community. And so they're wanting their elected officials to really step up and listen to them. There's issues with public records. It just goes on and on and on. And so
It's like a soap opera, right? I mean, you think that you're at the end of it, and it just keeps going on and on
yes.
and on. So what happened on Tuesday? So everyone's there on Tuesday. You had a rally this Tuesday, last Tuesday as well. Tell us what was that about, and what were you trying to accomplish?
Right. So each week we had about 25 to 30 people come out, and it was bipartisan effort. There were multiple issues, and the real issue was the city isn't listening to its residents. Anything from the right to clean water to just
Again, so just right there, they're suing again.
right
The
citizens.
the citizens
Yeah.
who the Right to Clean Water Act, or not the it's not an act, right?
Right.
Okay, amendment. Okay, and so it was passed. About over 80% of the people in Titusville passed it, and the or the city council, county commission, city council decided that they wanted to sue.
Right.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's where it's at now, right?
Yeah. And so one of the things that, people are advocating for is to repeal the appeal. We want the city of Titusville to stop appealing the judge's decisions to allow this amendment to go forward. Two different judges, like I've said before, have said that this is constitutional, and the people voted for it. So the city of Titusville, they need to drop it.
So what are they doing? Are they running out the clock? Are they trying to make the citizens go broke by trying to having to defend this? What is happening here?
Right. So they're punishing the citizens because now the citizens have to go out and spend their own money to defend themselves, and on top of that, they're using tax dollars to sue the public, and it's just not okay what they're doing. It's not.
So you had initially all five city council members were for the appeal,
Right.
and then in the last vote you had Diesel and also
I think
Robinson, who
Right.
decided not to appeal. So you had three others. You had
Sarah Stokel,
Sarah Stokel.
Mhm.
You had who?
Jolynn Nelson, and Herman Cole.
Herman Cole, who decided to. And so they're dug in, right? I mean, they will not relent on this. Right?
Exactly. And Sarah Stokel is up for reelection. So, I mean, I don't know how well that's going to go for her when she is continuously suing the people. And she calls herself a Republican. And so for her to be doing this to the people is not okay.
Yeah. So what else was going on Tuesday night? So there were some other issues that were brought up, and they had a workshop, right? And
Right.
they were trying to accomplish some agenda that they were doing behind the people, right? The people were not aware of what they were going to be talking about. Am I
Right.
correct?
Right, you're correct. And what they were doing, first and foremost, let's go back to they did not record this meeting, live stream it. They didn't do video of it. They only did audio. They had the audio sound guy there, but they didn't decide to put it on video, which to me shows a lack of transparency. It seemed kind of odd that they already had this person there to record it, and then also
It wasn't a problem at all to just have the
Right.
video, right?
right. It's
Right.
just like
Right.
so That happens. So you have numerous advocates go in, including myself, and live stream it ourselves, so we could bring the people of Titusville into that meeting. And during that meeting, basically what they did is they dressed up their accomplishments and this. They didn't talk about a survey that was taken by a majority. I know you could probably talk about the survey more.
Last
Oh
week.
yeah.
And again, you brought it up on Tuesday,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And I personally don't believe the city council members even saw the results of that survey, because when I was reading the survey results to them at that workshop, they look shocked. And so it just tells you how out of touch these people are. They're not even fulfilling what they're supposed to be doing. And many times you hear the city manager or his staff saying, "Oh, if you'd like a copy of this document, just ask me for it." So that's telling me that the city
staff is
staff is
running.
not giving the
Right.
council the documentation for any of the things that they're voting on.
So a lot of the things that were at the workshop, these things are actually run through the staff.
Right.
And the staff is telling the city council, you need to vote for this. We're the experts,
Exactly.
right? And that's kind of, what were some of the other things that they were trying to push through?
So
Till Tuesday.
basically, what this workshop was, it was their strategic meeting for the year, their planning for the year. And really, if you go back and listen to it, it was a whole lot of nothing. They didn't really talk about anything. And, then a lot of citizens stood up and spoke. And, uh, and by the way, they spoke at the end of the meeting. So they did all of their work at the beginning of the meeting without the input of the citizens, and then everybody had to wait to speak till the end of the meeting, and they didn't even take any consideration to what they're doing. I like to talk about the uh, Titusville Tomorrow project, and it's basically they want to turn West Titusville into a New York City street.
So that's in Joinville, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people in Joinville who don't
Right.
want this
These
to happen,
people
right?
have been here for over 100 years, some of
Right.
them. They've owned this land. A lot of them are successful Black people that have owned this land for a very long time. And so what, now the city's going to come in, and how are they going to do this? Are they going
It's
to
going to be
pressure them
interesting
to
because,
sell?
yeah,
Are they
it's
going to do eminent domain? What, how are
going to
they
be
going to get them to
interesting.
do this?
Want to be accused of gentrification.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
So how are they going to get around this? It's going to be
Exactly.
interesting to see. So what do you see? Still, you've been dealing with the city of
Yeah,
Titusville
for
for
a
a long
while.
time. What do you see as the main problem? What are we dealing with here as to why the city of Titusville can't get it right? Why they are not attentive to the needs of their citizens?
I think it's like, again, I go back to that layered issue. I think that you have people that are sitting in those seats that aren't truly representing the people, the will of the people. They seem to be representing corporations. They seem to be representing developers. They seem to be representing donors. They're not representing the people. And so I think that's a big part of the issue is that, and they're not really holding their staff up to certain standards. They're not questioning their staff. They're just kind of going along with business as usual, trying to, just get through the motions of the night. And there's just a lot of frustration with the citizens of Titusville.
Do you, excuse me, I'm sorry to
Okay.
interrupt you. Do you think that the city council is competent enough to keep staff accountable?
If I'm being honest, I don't think they know enough about the issues to keep them accountable.
Right.
They don't know what to ask. They look at the staff as experts.
Right.
They look at that staff as the answers to their questions. Instead of looking at it as, I need to do my research, I need to be going in and learning about these issues enough to where I can question the staff.
Right.
And that's what I've seen time and time again in this particular city. And, there's been years of just continuous issues that it has to do with communication barriers, transparency issues. It goes back to all what I call is
Right.
basic government.
Right.
So take us back to, you've been dealing with the city of Titusville for a while. When did it first start and how did you get involved?
So well, if I go way back, I have family that live in Titusville. I grew up here in Brevard County, so I do have that connection with Titusville. But where my advocacy began in Titusville was in 2019 because I was requesting records from all across the state of Florida for a certain chemical that we were finding in drinking water that was very, very problematic. It causes health issues. And
PFAS.
PFAS, yes.
Yeah,
PFAS
nasty
chemicals,
word.
yes.
Okay.
And so when I made my record request to the city of Titusville, I got a very different response from all 71 cities that
Wow.
they gave me the results. City of Titusville said you're going to pay a little over $35 an hour for a minimum of 2 hours, $65 for this one test
Wow.
with drinking water to
And
tell us the health and safety, to tell us if there were harmful chemicals in the drinking water.
what was the result of that? Did you ever get the records?
We never got the records. We pushed back. We tried to get representatives involved, like Representative Wright. And instead, we decided to put that money towards independent testing, which found at Sandpoint Park that there was PFOA and PFOS in the drinking water.
Now, your family had a reason for this testing too. Now, you and your brother and your dad,
And my
and this was like simultaneously, right? Contracted cancer. Really? So walk us through what happened and when did you find it out?
2000. Then our family dog, and then my little brother at the age of 21 was diagnosed. And 3 months later, I was diagnosed, and then my father was diagnosed.
What kind of cancer was this?
This is all blood cancer. It's multiple.
Okay.
We grew up on the Space Coast. So what really spearheaded this for me is when I had experts from all over coming to my room when I was receiving chemotherapy telling me, where did you grow up? And they started asking me all these questions. Did you grow up near this? Did you grow up near that? And they said, your case is very unusual. They documented it in my records that my case was likely caused by environmental exposure. It is documented. And we had genetic testing done, and it showed no mutating genes.
Wow.
And so when you found this out, you did what?
I decided to start crowdsourcing cancer cases here in Brevard County, and
Okay.
my list from one day went from 10 people to 500 people to 1,000 people diagnosed with cancer. And that's what led me on this journey of environmental health and uncovering chemicals in our water and uncovering probably one of the biggest nightmares that you will ever, I mean, it took a lot for me to digest when I started uncovering all the pollution and the issues and how they were impacting our health.
So is there causation with what you see going on with the water and the cancers?
With PFAS chemicals, they have been linked to things like liver issues and kidney cancer and autoimmune diseases because it actually suppresses the immune system. And so that has probably the longest study in recent history. They had an 8-year C8 study that connected it to health issues.
So what was the response of the city when you took this information to them?
Well, the response of not just the city of Titusville, by the way, the response with a lot of cities is to first deny, lie, and hide.
Right.
Those are the three things that they always go to: deny, lie, and hide.
You've seen a pattern now.
Yes, there's a
You can
pattern.
almost anticipate
They
it.
minimize it, they dismiss it, and we're ready for it. The thing that sets us apart as advocates is that we embrace the science, that we bring in the experts. We do the right way, where we have environmental scientists, toxicologists, epidemiologists in the background helping us navigate this. And we've done independent testing. They never anticipated us to do the independent testing.
So one of the things that's important to point out here is you're not a flaming liberal. A lot of people will say that, right? And
Right, because
it's been right, right. But that's become a liberal issue for a lot of people. They just think that liberals only care about the clean water. So tell me, so you were a conservative, uh, but when you found this out, then what happened? Because there was some response there was a pushback on you personally, right?
yes, there was pushback. So I've been a lifelong Republican, correct, and it was up until last year I decided to go nonpartisan, no affiliate, no party affiliate, because they started they couldn't get me on the science. They couldn't discredit me in other ways. So they started making false police reports. They came after me. They traumatized my family. They made false reports
Okay, when
against
you say they,
Mhm.
this would
the
be
city
who?
of Titusville, the
Okay,
ex-water resource director. I'll name him
okay.
because it was probably, I don't even know how to explain how I felt when it happened, because it was so unbelievable that I was going through this.
Surreal.
It was very surreal. I had police show up to my house. A lot of my constitutional rights
You live in
were
Port
under
St. John.
siege. Yes, yes.
Wow.
And this is not the only time the police showed up to my house. The first time it was because,
This was.
okay, so the sheriffs first came and they served me papers because they falsely claimed that I attacked children. They wanted to take all my guns away. So when I finally went to court, I did win my court case. And in that case, they tried to attack my constitutional right to freedom of speech. They banned me from places that I took water samples throughout the city of Titusville. They banned me from a national federal park, Playland Beach.
It's happened to Stel Johnson as well, right?
Yes, yes.
So he's undergoing. So is this a pattern that if you stand up against the city of Titusville, that this is going to be the response?
Yes.
Has this been proven to be the response?
I believe that this is a pattern. I have heard from other people. People are too scared to speak out. And I want people to look at this case that I won in court. First and foremost, that's the justice that my constitutional rights were upheld. And I think it is so important that we continue to defend those constitutional rights. That's why it's so important that we all get out there and vote. It's important that we all protect those rights. Because in my case, they tried to say speaking at public meetings. They tried to say making public records requests was considered stalking.
What?
Yes.
That's insane.
That's what they said under oath on the
So
stand.
when you say they, who
The
is
water
they?
resource director,
Okay.
and he dragged his family into this whole thing.
Okay.
And I believe that the city was involved in that. I do, and this is the first time I'm actually telling my story about that. So it's still surreal to this day. And later that year, the Titusville Police Department went out of their jurisdiction to come to my home. They took me out to my driveway and they interrogated me, trying to insinuate that I had something to do with Stan Johnston's case.
Again, your home is in
Wow.
Port St. John.
Yes.
And so you're saying that they went to
Titusville
your.
Police Department.
So
Yes.
last Tuesday, there were 8 Titusville police at
Yes.
the city council. And it appeared that someone, and I guess a good question would be, who allowed for them to be there? Why did they allow for them to be there? And I guess the question would be, is that intimidating the citizens? So any comment on
So
that?
the meetings
Katie?
that I've been to prior to so much citizen engagement, there were maybe 2, maybe 3 if there were, was a hot topic. But then we started making more public comments, and we started seeing 5, and then now 8. And not all of them were in, their police uniform. They were actually detectives
This is interesting.
at these city meetings. And when we went to the ribbon cutting, I mean, there had to been over a dozen.
I was going to say, it's not just the council meetings
Right.
they're doing this. They're doing it at events like the Earth Day event, what she
Right.
just said, the ribbon cutting.
And this is not to disparage the police. The
No,
question is, who asked them
Who's
to do
directing
this? Who's
this?
directing them?
Right.
Who in the city is directing them to do this?
Right.
Because they paid a lot of overtime last Tuesday.
Exactly.
Right? So what precedent was that? What basis did they have to call the police out?
Right.
These are good questions to ask. I mean, you'd have
Right.
to have some kind of threat assessment, right? To be able to call that many police in. So why is this being done? I mean, do you see a pattern in Titusville where they try to use this as a
Right.
method of intimidation?
And for me, I'm questioning, is there so little crime in the city of Titusville that they can take 8 police officers for a city workshop that's not even being recorded? Like, you would think that they would have something better to be doing than sitting and watching peaceful citizens participate in their government.
Now, this happened before with in some other instances where the police are being used basically as a soft intimidation And again, this is not to disparage the police, it's the people who are asking them to do this.
I 100% support our police.
Yeah.
100%. They have a very important job to do, and I thank God for them every day because, you know, we count on our police officers to keep us safe, to give us safe neighborhoods. But I am also a firm believer that the police, they swear an oath as well to uphold our constitutional rights.
Correct.
And so I implore any member of the military, any police officer, anybody who swears that oath, any government official, they swear an oath to uphold our constitutional rights. And so I just hope that they remember that. They are there to keep us safe.
So what was gained from this past Tuesday? Do you think that there was something gained still with the rally? I mean, I know that I was there last week and I saw a lot of the people were responding and the people and the response of the people seemed to agree with where the survey was that was read, right? Is that what you saw?
Oh, conversation of what occurred that night, but also questioning, you know, who's running the city, who's making these decisions. And once you spark that conversation, it's hard to stop. You've got
Right.
people very interested in how can I take action.
Has that never happened in Titusville before? It seemed like that they've kind of just sailed along and there's been no pushback at all with a lot of the things that have been happening that are really egregious.
I'd say it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know, gets back into life. And what we really need is to keep that momentum, and we
Right.
really need people to get out there and vote and support candidates that are going to uphold their rights and actually come up with solutions and take action. And there's a lot that the city of Titusville residents can do that I don't think they're empowered to do yet, but I think we're helping empower them.
A lot of it is that it's almost like the citizens have lost their focus on the fact, and again, we continue to say the citizens are the government,
Right.
the people, the politicians are the representatives. They're supposed to be the slave of the people. I will continue to say that because that's what the Constitution says, but it's been inverted. How did this happen?
It's been allowed to happen. I think a lot of citizens have gotten busy in the day-to-day life. They're just trying to provide food for their families. They don't have the time to be civically engaged, and sometimes I feel like that's done by design.
Right.
And people don't have the capacity sometimes to really pay attention, and this is probably one of those most important times to start paying attention and start getting involved in any possible imaginable way you can.
Right.
Because our government has gone rogue, and we're seeing it day in and day out.
Not only
We're
on national level,
Yeah.
it's only
Right
on
here.
national, but it's on local
Locally.
level as well.
Yes. If we can take care of that's going to be really important for the national level.
Right.
It's a survey that I saw that 70% of all of the people in Congress today actually started on the local level as a mayor or city council. So if you can vet the people on the local level, you'll actually control what's happening on the national level, and that makes a big difference. Stel, thank you so much for being with us. This has been a great show and great information. We want to close on our quote today, and it's Tyrants hate fearlessness. And this is from Tobias Wolff, and he says, fearlessness in those without power is maddening to those who have it. And so that's what they count on. They bake into the equation that you will sink in fear. But the people have the power, right? And the majority of the people, if you gather together and decide, we're not going to take this anymore, there's more of the people than there are of those who are corrupt. And so I think that that can change. Stel, would you let me know where can people contact you?
They can contact me on my email. I have stelbailey@gmail.com or at Gmail, and then I also have numerous websites: advocatesvoice.com, fightforzero.org. So I'm pretty easy to find. I'm on every social media site you can imagine.
All right. Thank you for watching another edition of Brevard News, your trusted news source for real news in Brevard County. Remember to like, share, and subscribe our channel, and you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you.